New England is one of the oldest parts of our country, and many of us choose to stay here because we think the old ways of living and working are still important. But lately, other regions of the country seem to be passing us by. Boston has remained an important business center, and many of our people are trying to develop new ways of applying some of our old skills. We're trying to preserve the vitality of our region without giving up the most attractive parts of our past.
This is Louisburg Square, probably the heart of historic Beacon Hill. I love to walk this way. This area is one of the oldest areas of Boston, and it has remained virtually untouched for 200 years. It's hard to know what makes the New England tradition the tradition that it is. Families, history, the necessity of living the fairly hard life that New England has always required, a certain amount of character. And I think that character comes right down through many generations of people who have lived here, and they live here because they like to live here. They enjoy what New England has meant to them, and they intend to have it continue to have the same meaning to their children and grandchildren.
I think part of that goes back to Concord and Lexington and much further back to the people who first came here, the Puritans and the Pilgrims who came to be able to practice a religious form of freedom. New Englanders enjoy working in the woods and tilling farms in New England, and it offers them an opportunity to live the kind of life that they want, which is a very independent kind of life.
When I first came here, well, I didn't have about 20 cows and one man, and then when my son come to live with me and grew up and wanted to farm it, well, I said we've got to have 40 cows to make a living.
Well, in this part of New England, it's pretty well, there's hardly any agriculture left. Now, the operations are too small. We only get about 4 or 5 cents clear for each quart of milk that goes out of here. You know. Oh, there isn't that much money in milk. Our land here is stony. For 100 years, they've been carrying off the stones. They're still stones. Out west, if you decide to do something different, you can raise corn or wheat or soybeans or here, hay is about the best crop for us.
Our trouble is that we haven't got enough level land, but it's all small fields, you know, and the small fields don't work as good as a big place. You know, if you had a couple hundred acres of nice, smooth land, how much easier you could work it, you know.
New England was bound to the sea more than almost any of the other regions when the colonists got here. If they went down to Virginia, they could raise tobacco. They go down to Pennsylvania, New York, they could raise wheat. But up here, they were more or less driven to shipbuilding. This is the waterfront of Mystic Seaport, which was an idea that had developed of trying to reproduce what an old New England seaport village was like early in the 19th century. I enjoy come down and take a little stroll in the morning, catch the various moods of the ocean, which never 2 days quite the same. It's a good way to start the day, soaking in that old atmosphere. Yankee character is good, hard-headed, hard-working. They have the New England conscience, which they say doesn't keep you from doing wrong, but keeps you from enjoying the wrongdoing. And there was that Calvinistic hard work strain. You were quite confident that you were among God's elect. He was looking out for you especially. And I think partly the weather has produced hard work. You get a good, crisp day in September and October, you get 3 or 4 times as much done as you can ordinarily.
Lobstermen, as a rule, go very early in the morning. They like to go around 5 o'clock. The air is usually calm up until noontime, or reasonably calm, and the smoother it is, the easier it is to haul fast. This is a typical main square trap here. This is called the fishing end of the trap, where the bait is located. The lobster, in theory, crawls up this ramp, which is made of netting, into the trap to get at the bait. The lobster then swims his way up this ramp and drops into the parlor end of the trap. This is the kitchen end, this is the parlor end. And then, hopefully, they are trapped. They swim around this area. And then when Don comes out each day to check his traps, he will then measure these lobsters. Every lobsterman is very conscientious about making sure, you see, this is under the legal measure, 3/16. This means this lobster is thrown back in. Hopefully in another year, he will become legal size. This might be of interest. These are so-called pistols for an obvious reason. No claws, and they look like a handgun. They're saleable. They're used primarily for meat. I eat lobster. My wife enjoys it far more than I. I think that the industry, due to the advent of hydraulic hauler, faster boats, and the ability to handle more traps, I feel personally it's an overworked industry slightly.
Give me, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 lobster, Mike.
Oh, right.
4 of them, yeah.
All right, you're right here
Without
now.
weighing them.
Pardon me?
Without weighing them, I'll take the 4 of them for $10. All right? Put a little seaweed in.
Little seaweed, keep them moist.
Attaboy,
All right,
Mike.
deal of the day. This thing is the deal of the day.
Really? Keep the faith and have a good day.
The people in this part of the country are conditioned to learning because of the extent to which the education business is present around here. Such institutions as Harvard and MIT and some other fine technical schools could grow the kind of labor force that was needed to sustain industries. I am an indigenous and incorrigible New Englander at this point. The town in which I still live was, in fact, the headquarters of much of the American textile industry. Of Lowell and Lawrence, Massachusetts, on the Merrimack River were respectively the cotton and woolen capitals, certainly of this country and to some extent the rest of the world. The bright light of industrialization kind of flickered and went out when many industries availed themselves of cheaper labor by moving south. Little pockets of depression set in, and some still exist.
Textile manufacturing still goes on in New England, and it provides jobs for many of us here. But it no longer dominates our region. We've kept our hand in at another traditional industry, too. Some of the biggest shipyards in the country are located along our coast.
I think New England has the best shipyards around. What we mostly build here are carriers for liquid natural gas. They're about 936 feet long. It would take about a year to finish a ship. We have all types of jobs here. There's welding, there's carpentry, we have electricians, ship fitters, just about every type of work there is in the shipyard. My job is to train people to be welders. It makes me feel good when I can put out about 12 good welders. I like this type of work. I've liked it ever since I've been in the yard. I went through the same training in the school as these people did. There's a certain feeling about New England that people that come from here like New England, or they wouldn't be here, let's put it that way.
Recently, we've branched out. Computer companies and space-age industries have flocked to New England, taking advantage of the technical skills and high educational level of our workers.
I'm a computer technician, and my job entails programming, technical ability, hooking all of these up, getting them ready to be shipped out into the field to specific customers. Technical aspect of it, it's always a challenge in this field. Every day is something new. You never get bored on a job like this. I do feel like I communicate with the machine because I'm the one that puts the data into it and looking for the output out of it. You know, I tell the machine what to do.
New Englanders are not given to packing up and going because they like what they have here, and they're willing to readjust their lifestyles if that becomes necessary in order to maintain not only a standard of living but a quality of living as well that they feel they can't find elsewhere in this country.
There are an awful lot of people in New England that do things because they enjoy doing them or they really want to do them and not because it's necessarily the most profitable or the easiest way. People ask me why I build wooden canoes. Well, it started out that I was doing more rebuilding. I started out patching up the canoes from the camp that I worked at in Maine. And after doing that for quite a while, I got tired of it and decided I wanted to make some canoes from scratch. Well, I spend my summers canoeing, and I spent my winters in Washington, D.C., and I was mostly tired of having a winter not worth talking about. We came across this house. It's still in the woods, but yet close to a city, and it has a winter worth talking about.
Rural New England is a haven for many people who are tired of overcrowded cities in other parts of the country. Building vacation homes and tourist facilities for them is now one of our fastest growing industries. The newcomers may help us work out a balance here between industry and country life that could be a guide to the rest of America.
I really like New England because it's a different kind of place. You can go up on a mountain, the mountain just in our backyard, and we usually ski down from there. We take our cross-country skis up and ski all the way down to the bottom, to the valley. Downhill skiing is a really great sport in New England. I guess that's what New England's known for. You can hike in the summer or in the winter. You can snowshoe. There's great bobsledding around. There's just whatever you really want to do, you can do. You can work so hard in the city, and when you get up here, just be able to relax and just take it easy for a long time. To travel up 6 hours is so little to give for your time if you're going to spend even 2 days up here.
I'm a countryman. I just love the country, and it's just beautiful. Everything's beautiful. I just love to look. I have more time now than I used to have, you know. A younger man is so busy they don't have the time to really consider just how beautiful everything is. When I come out here and I think, well, I love thy kingdom, Lord, the home of thine abode, and my heart with rapture thrills when I observe your rocks and rills. I love thy kingdom, Lord, and when I observe thy kingdom, my heart with rapture thrills.
We New Englanders believe in progress as much as anyone, but we'd hate to lose our special feeling for our land and its past.
Well, I think New England has more history than most other parts of the country, and it's endeavored to keep everything the way it was and yet be very much in the 20th century. I've lived in this part of the country my life, and when I think of the many generations that my family has lived here before, I can't help feeling that, I suppose there's a feeling of pride in being a New Englander. Whenever I'm asked where I come from, it isn't that I come from Boston, I come from New England.